Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Top Rope Takes. We are just a couple days removed from the Royal Rumble. We have a new winner of both the men's and women's Royal Rumble, so we kind of are starting to fill in the gaps here of the main event of WrestleMania. But before we get to all that, first I got to talk to my good buddy here, Willie Throw. Will, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty well. Yeah, it's kind of a come down after a really hot Royal Rumble. Very exciting. If you haven't seen our Royal Rumble review, definitely check that out. And I also have a live reaction video reacting to the men's Royal Rumble match. So check both those videos out. But yeah, we're moving right along on the road to WrestleMania. And I thought this Raw definitely had me excited and definitely pondering some possibilities for WrestleMania this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the best place to be in is kind of not knowing where we're going to go. There's so many possibilities. We got a little bit more direction on this episode of Raw, which is exciting. So let's just jump right into it. So, of course, the big headline coming out of the Royal Rumble was the winner of the men's Royal Rumble main event, Jey Uso, someone that a lot of people, almost everybody, didn't see coming. A big pop, one of the most over superstars in the company right now, so a very deserving winner. He's kicking off Monday Night Raw with a really emotional promo. Well, wasn't it like our typical yeet fest from Jey Uso? This felt like more of a shoot than anything else. Uh, Pretty typical stuff. Nothing super noteworthy in his actual promo as far as what he said in driving story, but we do get an interruption from the world heavyweight champion Gunther, which again, kind of reiterating that this is kind of the direction that they're going to for WrestleMania 40. We speculated on a Royal Rumble recap show. Maybe he could be going to Cody, and he is going to go to SmackDown and check out Cody, but certainly looks like Gunther is the leading candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned his promo wasn't a yeet fest. That's because the first 10 to 15 minutes
Yeah,
was a complete yeet fest.
yeah,
They were yeeting all over. They stopped the music. The fans chanted one more time and then immediately went back to yeeting. It kind of reminded me of that like Raw after WrestleMania when Seth came out and he just listened to the fans sing his song and didn't even say anything. I thought that's where they were going with the Jey Uso. I thought they were just going to yeet, and then you just kind of not say anything and walk out. But what Jey Uso, I feel like he didn't say much, but what he did say came across as genuine. And that's what I really did appreciate. I really did feel like Jey Uso, even this Royal Rumble win, caught him by surprise. And he's just grateful for every opportunity that he's able to get. And he's going to try his best to win that title. Main event Jey Uso wins it at WrestleMania. But of course, Gunther comes out. And what's funny is Gunther almost like is kind of been saying what we've been saying here on
yes,
Top Rope Takes about how like he doesn't really want or need to fight Jey Uso. He doesn't have anything to gain from beating Jey Uso. In fact, he wants a higher level opponent, like we've been
yeah,
saying over and over again. He wants a John Cena, a CM Punk to face, because then that actually means something to Gunther's legacy going forward. So it's funny that they did bring that up because I do still think the direction is Jey Uso and Gunther, but um it almost made me think like he's still got a lot more left in this
yeah.
kind of world heavyweight title run. But I do think Jey Uso is also winning the world heavyweight championship at Mania. So, but it definitely makes me question like it could, even though I think for sure Jey Uso is winning the world heavyweight championship, it does give me some pause to be like, well, Gunther still has all these dream opponents as world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Does he end up winning and spoiling the party and then going on to face those high level opponents, or are we just going to get Jey Uso? Which I don't mind if he loses because it does elevate someone within his title run. It will just be slightly disappointing that we didn't get those kind of big dream matches with the title on the line.
Yeah, this is so interesting to me because I think between Jey Uso and Gunther, it's one of those situations where really neither guy should be losing right now. Jey Uso, so over, just won the Royal Rumble. Certainly, you would expect him to have a big moment at WrestleMania, but Gunther, they've invested a lot into this guy. They haven't really given him a ton as world champion, like we've been saying. And I just think him losing the world title to Jey Uso at WrestleMania would really hurt him a lot. Um, I kind of don't. I don't. I just. I don't. I don't think this is the best direction, but it certainly seems like it's the direction that we're going in.
Yeah, but I am very much looking forward to Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes segment on SmackDown
Yeah.
because Jey Uso did mention he's going to holler at Cody and he's gonna see what that's all about. He's not gonna holler at Obafemi, so I guess
Yeah.
that's not on the
What's that
table.
all
But
about? Because even Charlotte later was going to go see Julia.
yeah, right. So maybe he's just keeping it a surprise. But
Yeah.
uh I'm curious to see where that goes because maybe that promo segment does sell me on a Cody J match. I think if they say the right things, it really could sell me on that. But I'm also the story seems to be Jey Uso not only just wanting to win the World Heavyweight Championship, but specifically wanting to beat Gunther.
Right. Just to prove that, I guess, like, he's in that class of in ring wrestler that we've been kind of saying he's really not. But yeah, I don't know, man. I need to see more. I need to see more from these two to get sold on it. But either way, it should be a fun ride. So after this promo segment between Jey Uso and Gunther, we have our first match of the night: Ludwig Kaiser versus Penta. Penta had a great showing in the Royal Rumble. One of the Iron Men from this year's event. Ludwig Kaiser he like has like a weird relationship going on with Pete Dunne right now. Kind of just like the mid card heels. Either way, Penta picks up the win here, continues his undefeated streak, but he is attacked by Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne after the fact. I think we're officially done with Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther. At least they put it on pause, it seems.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of separate for now, and then maybe they do something post WrestleMania season where they kind of develop that story more. But I think they're just kind of happy being on their own, doing their own things. Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne seem to have this relationship, which means Penta needs a partner.
Mm-hmm. Who could that be?
Who could that possibly be? Well, is
Oh.
it already time? Like, is the contract freeze already over? I don't know.
I don't think it's that partner. I do
Okay.
think it's another masked luchador, though.
Okay. Yeah,
I
well,
think Rey Mysterio could very soon be inserted into this picture.
poor Dragon Lee then, 'cause
Yeah,
I guess he's being tossed to the side. All right.
yeah. I don't know. That's a good point, though. I mean, maybe it is Ray Fenix. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know. I have not looked into any of the contract stuff. It feels like it's too soon, especially because with Backlash being in Mexico, seems like the perfect time for
Yeah,
that to be the debut. But I do like the fact that they are keeping like this undefeated streak for
yeah.
Penta, especially on Raw. So hopefully that continues and they just keep them, racking up wins. And you can never go wrong with not having Penta lose and then eventually maybe getting a bigger challenger to make it seem like a big
Mhm.
time matchup for him.
Yeah, and honestly, like I kind of hope it's not Ray Phoenix because I really am enjoying what they're doing with presenting Penta as a solo star, and I think it's too soon to then immediately package him into a tag team.
100%, especially if the direction is Penta and Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. Just keep him rocking as a solo star. So I do think you're right in that it's probably going to be Rey Mysterio as his partner. It's just very
Yeah,
odd that they just have a Dragon Lee there. And maybe they'll turn Dragon Lee heel, and maybe that'll be like his reasoning.
yeah,
Like you really just turned your back on me, right, for this other luchador. Like you just want the next best thing, huh?
yeah. I don't know what they do with Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee again, kind of getting lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
On
Um,
he's on X defending the speed title.
yeah. Listen, he's got one thing out of a time, right? You
Yeah,
know, he can only focus on
exactly.
so much. Okay, so after Penta and Ludwig Kaiser have a good match, and then they're beaten down by Kaiser and Pete Dunne, we get a backstage segment with Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and the Judgment Day. And this is kind of interesting, Will. They are
Is it?
really, well,
Okay.
they're really pushing a Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio angle here. And Dominic Mysterio is coming across as the babyface. Finn Balor is definitely coming across as the heel in this. He basically is upset with Dominic Mysterio for being selfish, and he's just being a little whiny baby. Let's just call it what it is. Finn Balor. Maybe he's upset about the new music that he has. Uh, but then they reveal that Dominic Mysterio actually did help Finn Balor and got him his match. And this, I don't know. This whole thing is like I'm interested to see what they do with Dominic because he's the biggest heel in the company, but they're positioning him as a babyface in comparison to Finn. But like either way, like that feels like the whole Judgment Day thing kind of needs to end sooner rather than later.
Yeah, like it feels. especially since like WrestleMania 40, the Judgment Day had tension between each other. And I thought, okay, well, once Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley break off from this group, then we can get to like a
Mhm.
new Judgment Day as like a solid unit taking on everyone. But as soon as this new Judgment Day formed, there was tension and infighting with the new Judgment Day. I'm like, so now we got to wait. And it's been like this for months now.
Yeah.
There's tension between Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. So as interesting as it could be, it's like, well, I've kind of seen they've been kind of teasing this tension between Finn Balor and Dom. So I don't know what that necessarily means for this Judgment Day thing, because if we know the Judgment Day, this thing could go on for another few months
And
before
it
we
probably
get any.
will.
So yeah, it was what it was, but I did like the wrinkle that Dom was able to, I guess, politic his way into getting Liv a qualifying match and Balor a qualifying match. So
Yeah.
cool. We'll see
Cool.
where it
We'll see
goes.
where exactly. After this, we have an appearance from the other winner of the Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair makes her big return to TV on Raw, and this was something. We had been
This was
talking about.
awesome.
We have been talking about what the dynamics were going to be between Charlotte and this theoretical Tiffany Stratton match, and who's going to be the heel, who's going to be the baby face. And I said it on a Rumble recap. They are positioning Charlotte to be the baby face in the situation, which seems so misguided. And you saw it play out in real time on Monday Night Raw when she comes out and she cuts a really heartfelt, let's call it what it is, baby face promo. And she just gets booed out of the building. And what I loved about it was you saw in real time the mark of a true professional. She immediately flipped. I don't know how much of this was calculated or how much of this is Charlotte just doing what the obvious thing is and leaning into it, but she turns into the heel immediately. And part of me thinks, I want to get your thoughts on this, but part of me thinks it was intentional because then they bring out Rhea Ripley, who's obviously going to get cheered. So like part of me thinks that this was like they knew she was going to get booed, and so they immediately put her in there with somebody they knew was going to get cheered. What do you think about that?
I don't see, I don't necessarily buy that aspect of it, only because I think the plan, no matter what, was to have Rhea Ripley. Like the plan for this week was Charlotte Flair to confront the champions.
Right.
So even like I think Charlotte could have gotten cheered, but there was no like WWE knows there was no way she was going to get cheered more than the most over babyface they have on the roster.
Right.
Period, man or woman. Rhea Ripley
Yeah.
is just on fire right now. So, but I did think what was awesome about this is exactly what you said, where Charlotte Flair comes out and the content of her promo was a babyface promo. Like she's talking about recovering from an injury, not thinking that she was even going to return to wrestling. And what happens is, as she's cutting this promo in real time, she starts to shift from it being from the heart babyface to then just ultimately going into Charlotte Flair. And there was really a point in this where she was exactly like Ric Flair. Like you have to go back and
Mm.
watch this. When she starts getting up against the ropes and really starts getting into it, like
Mm.
I just saw like her face turned into Ric Flair for a second. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is where she gets it from. But she was just so, I feel like that's what she does best is knowing how to be Charlotte Flair,
Hmm.
uh even if what she was supposed to do out there was supposed to be babyface promo, she knows that it's not going to work this
Hmm.
way. And maybe it might have not been in the plans for WWE to make her a heel, but she knows she has to rock with the crowd. And at first she's like, yeah, I enjoy the boos. I enjoy you cheering me, but she does it in a babyface manner. But once she realizes the boos are coming down even harder, then she gets really fired up and intense and being like, I am the best. I just, um, so I thought that was great. And then Rhea Ripley coming out, I love their back and forth about how Rhea Ripley was like, I'm not a kid anymore, but Charlotte Flair being like, you demanding that you
Hmm.
want me to choose you makes me feel like you still are a kid. And Rhea Ripley being like, I hope you choose me. Please pick me because I want to beat the respect into you. I really am. I never thought I would feel this way, but it made me want to see another Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair match at WrestleMania. And I did not think I would say that going into this promo segment, but that's what's great about these Royal Rumble or post Royal Rumble promo segments
Mm,
is that they are really laying out all the options and making you kind of ponder what could be the WrestleMania matches at this year's WrestleMania. So I enjoy that they're trying to make you think, oh, are they going to go this way? Are they going to go that way? I'm curious to see what kind of promo Charlotte has like, with Julia. I think that
mm.
should be kind of intriguing. And of course, everyone is looking forward to and probably expecting her to pick Tiffany Stratton. So I'm curious to see how that one goes, especially because the dynamic is so interesting with someone who portrays themselves as a heel getting babyface reactions and someone who portrays themselves as a babyface getting heel reactions
Mm.
going face up. We might even get the double turn in one segment, Jason.
Honestly, I'd be here for it. It'd be really fun. Yeah, I'm interested to see what Charlotte does on NXT and on SmackDown and see where they go. The NXT one's super interesting to me because like what could she possibly say there that is gonna make anyone believe any you know what I mean? Like what's even the point? Like she's clearly not I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I guess just pop a rating, but
Pop a
I don't
rating, and they might do like might set up a match for an NXT to get more ratings.
know.
Like I could see Charlotte Flair as like a warm up match, maybe getting in it with some NXT talent,
Yeah.
just to kind of add to that kind of mystery, I guess, of her possibly picking Julia, but also to again get a rating, get people to watch NXT. You get a big superstar like Charlotte Flair going up against a younger talent. I think it's a an easy gimme kind of match to do.
As far as Charlotte versus Rhea, I don't know if I need to see it for a third time. I think while they're in very different, Rhea specifically is in a very different spot in her career than the last two times. No, certainly the first one. I don't know too much about the second time, but like I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like it has any interest for me. It would be a good match. It'd be a fun match, but been there, done that. I'm interested more in something new.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. And I think going in, that was kind of my sentiment. But after watching this promo, I think there's a lot that they could do in the build up to Rhea Charlotte that they weren't able to do in the past two WrestleMania build-ups where kind of it's actually interesting. It's kind of like a Cody CM Punk dynamic where the
Right.
roles have changed. Now instead of Rhea being the one to chase Charlotte, Charlotte's now got to come chase Rhea. And it's like, I want to beat you for like basically in the words of Cody, just to show you that the best in the world isn't the best in the world anymore. Charlotte
Yeah, for
Flair
sure.
feels like she's the best in the world. Rhea wants to show her it's not your place anymore. You're not
Yeah.
the best in the world. So I think I think that dynamic is really strong. But again, we've seen it at WrestleMania twice. I think they could hold off on this match until later. In fact, I could even see it being WrestleMania 42 because they did the first match at 36, they did
Mm,
the second match at 39, then you do the third match the next year, 42, in 3 year increments. And it's fun. Like I like it as like a just a
love
nice
a good
even
pattern.
thing. Exactly. That slight OCD in me is like that's what they should do.
Well, we'll see. I think well, the SmackDown will give us a lot more clarity. After this, we get some backstage stuff with the women talking about their qualifying matches coming up. Io Sky tells Ripley she's see her at WrestleMania. Ripley chases Liv Morgan away. Nothing really too notable there. We get the New Day versus the LWO, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Logan Paul comes in during the match and
Wait,
kind
real
of,
quick.
yeah.
Did you want to talk about the Sami Zayn backstage segment real quick?
Yeah, we can go for it. Yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say like they teased tension between him and Jey Uso because as Sami Zayn was being asked about his match tonight and also about what happened with Kevin Owens, but he saw Jey Uso, walked over to Jey Uso, and it seemed like maybe he was going to get mad at Jey because Jey was the one who eliminated him in the
Mm,
Royal Rumble, but ultimately he was happy for Jey Uso and he wants him to get the job done. But then he's met with Karrion Kross, who I think Sami Zayn has had the final straw with,
mm.
and it's just like, if I see you again, like we're gonna have a problem. And Karrion Kross is like, well, I don't have to be a problem unless you want me to be, and get his eyes get all big, and you know. So I could see this being like a again like a TV match. They do. Sami Zayn gets a win over Karrion Kross
Oh, for
because
sure. It's
Lord
not
knows he
definitely not a
needs one.
PLE match. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But yeah, we'll see. I bet you we see this match on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah. Sami Zayn's story is very interesting, and we'll get more into that later. But not really sure. There's so many questions right now. Let's just put it that way. There's so many questions, and Sami Zayn is certainly one of them. So after this, we have the match with the New Day with new theme music, by the way, versus LWO Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Logan Paul gets involved in this match, which is what an odd placement for Logan Paul to get involved in. But he's got his Chamber Contenders match next week against Rey Mysterio, so that's kind of why he's here. He gets involved and inadvertently costs Rey Mysterio the match. And New Day gets a is this their first win as a heel team?
It is, but I don't know if I was crazy about this execution just because when I saw Kofi Kingston Xavier Woods versus Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee for later tonight, I was like, okay, well that's good. They can finally get their win and kind of show off their kind of what they're like as a heel tag team. But what this ended up being was they played third wheel to what was the main story of Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio. The focus was Logan Paul and Rey, not the New Day. So once again, it's kind of like, well, the New Day is kind of a background thing in this more important thing. And maybe that is also part of the storyline. They kind of been talking about how they haven't been really showcased as much
Mm-hmm.
since. In fact, off air, I think in between the breaks, Kofi was talking about how he wasn't in the Royal Rumble match before this
Yeah.
match started. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing because I thought they had great momentum coming out of the Big E segment they did at the end of last year, and I really haven't seen what I would have liked to see with this group. It kind of just feels like lower mid card act right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it shows that they didn't really have a plan outside of the Big E segment. Like they were building to the Big E segment for a while, and then after that, they didn't doesn't seem like they had any intention to do anything with them. And they've kind of been making it up as they go, and that's kind of just what it feels like every week. And yeah, this is also kind of disappointing. Their big first win as a heel tag team, and they're not even the main event. They're like not even the main focus of the whole angle. So yeah, that is disappointing. Logan Paul is interesting as a TV character, I guess, but certainly disappointing stuff from the New Day. And you'd like to see them do more. I don't know what would we want to see them do? War Raider stuff, like
I would just want to see. I wish because they were like such great heels coming off of the Big E stuff. I would have liked to see them in a more high profile situation. Like I understand the roster's pretty stacked right now, and so you don't necessarily and you have WrestleMania plans, so you don't necessarily want them competing against the top level guys. But I felt like there was stuff to do, like where they could go after some of the top baby faces, like a Sami Zayn or even a CM Punk, like to really elevate them as like, no, this is a new day, and
right.
they are going after like the top guys, and they want to kind of prove that they shouldn't be afterthoughts, and all they've proven since starting heel is that they are afterthoughts.
Yeah. You would love for them to get more involved in the top, but it's not the case, and it's unfortunate because it kind of feels like as we've seen so much, it's hard to get out of this rut once you're in it, and especially given it's WrestleMania season and all the top stars are kind of like being booked and busy with all their feuds and programs for WrestleMania. We're staring down the barrel of a WrestleMania where there's no New Day at all, which would be super disappointing.
It seems like there must have been a plan for Big E to come back that got stifled because it seemed like the payoff to the way they treated Big E was to then bring in Big E as a wrestler and have him go up against Kofi or Kofi and Woods. But at
Or
this point, after the Rumble, like I feel like the Rumble would have been the spot to do that in, and it didn't happen at the Rumble. So I don't know if they have a plan to separately bring him back, and that's going to be the big payoff to this. That's what I'm hoping for. But if that's not the case, then yeah, they kind of dropped the ball on this New Day stuff.
or could this all have been ruined by Odyssey Jones?
That's
That
what I was.
damn
I was actually thinking about that. Like, but I don't. The plan was. I don't know if you heard this, but the plan was on the Big E segment. They were going to choose Odyssey Jones over Big E. That was going to
hmm,
be their way to kind of send Big E out and turn them heel.
hmm.
But I don't think that really changes what we see now, other
Yeah,
than it's the same thing with Odyssey Jones as their big heavy.
right. Hmm. I don't know. I feel like there just must maybe there was more there. I don't. That's so interesting. So, but that makes me think that he's really never coming back. Then I don't know.
Yeah, it's either we'll see. I'll give it. I'll still give it time, but I'm very down on this new days kind of stuff that's been going on.
Me as well. All right. So Logan Paul comes out, costs Rey Mysterio the match. Trouble in Paradise. New Day pick up the win. After this, we have the first of the women's Elimination Chamber contender matches, and this was a really surprising matchup for me. Liv Morgan versus Io Sky, because I would have bet money that both these women were in it. And maybe they still will do one of those. Maybe there's like a battle royal where like the winner gets back in. Something they've done that before. But Liv Morgan versus Io Sky, fully expected both to be in it. And this is a decent match between the two. Rhea Ripley gets involved at the end and punches Liv Morgan. And that causes a disqualification. And Liv Morgan, by disqualification, wins and enters the chamber, screwing Io Sky out of a chance at the chamber, which was incredulous to me because if you would have told me who was going to win the chamber, I would have said Io Sky. As of right now, she's not even in it. So this was a very shocking decision to me. Um, we're continuing the Rhea Liv stuff, I guess, which I thought was done and dusted, but I guess not. And I don't know. I don't know. It feels like this has gone on for far too long. But I'm happy to see Liv win, I guess.
I don't think they're gonna do Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan at WrestleMania. I think they're just doing it as like a tease of a possibility because they have the history before. And I think the main purpose of this and what I predict is actually going to happen is that because Ripley accidentally cost Io Sky this opportunity, you're right. Maybe she does get a chance later to get in the Elimination Chamber, but I actually see it being Rhea Ripley gives Io a title shot at Elimination Chamber. And
Hmm.
that's how they do the Ripley Io Sky match because I just think in WWE's eyes they don't see Rhea Ripley and Io Sky as a WrestleMania match. I think they want something bigger, and we'll start to see as more women qualify for the chamber what that kind of big WrestleMania match for Rhea Ripley could be. But I think they're going to do Ripley and Sky. I think that was the purpose of the segment to set up Ripley and Sky at Elimination Chamber.
Another interesting matchup though, because didn't we just see this at Saturday Night's main event not too long ago, like
That was
December?
Live and Neo. They've
That was
never
Liv
done
and Io, right?
yeah, they didn't do Rhea Ripley and
Right,
Io.
because they teased. Okay, gotcha.
So
Yeah,
that's how they get that match in here. And that's why people wanted to see at WrestleMania because it was like, oh, well, we haven't really seen this match. Let's do it at Mania. But I don't think WWE sees it as a Mania match.
yeah. Well, I mean, either way, like Io Sky is one of the best wrestlers in the world, so it'll be a great match. It'll be a fun one. Uh,
And I think if you have the right people in the Elimination Chamber match, you can kind of tease a possibility of Io winning. Obviously, I don't
mhm,
think she will, but if you have like a Bailey in the Elimination Chamber and they could, tease a rematch from last year, or you have a returning Asuka in the
mhm.
Elimination Chamber, I think that could be an interesting little thing that they could tease.
Yeah, they hadn't. They never really mentioned what's going on with Asuka and her injury, but she's certainly somebody who's around WrestleMania season, like is usually a big presence. So I would not be shocked to see her return, and I think her return would be welcomed if they have a plan for her. I don't want her to just return just to do nothing. But certainly Damage Control will need something to do. So maybe Asuka coming back and teaming with, you know, Io and taking on Liv and Rock. I don't know, like Liv and Rock. Like I don't really need to see that at WrestleMania either. But like, there's I just
No, just make
well,
her a single star. We don't need her to be on the
yeah,
team. Just have her be Asuka and it'll be awesome.
yeah. All right. After this match, we get a big announcement that the phenomenal AJ Styles is on Monday Night Raw. So no longer a heel, no longer on SmackDown. He is in fact a babyface on Monday Night Raw, and a lot of opportunity there. I'm excited to see AJ on my screen.
Me too. And well, then Braun Breaker walked in and he kind of said, if you want AJ Styles to succeed here, then you don't put him in with Braun Breaker, which I do think is the Mania match. I think it's going to be Braun Breaker and AJ Styles. Maybe
Would
they'd rush it into Chamber, but I do think the better match for Braun Breaker at WrestleMania is him and AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And I actually have Logan Paul doing something else, even though that was
Ooh.
one of my pitches was Logan Paul, AJ Styles coming off the Rumble. I don't. I think Logan Paul's going to get a different match. I think it's going to be Braun Breaker and AJ Styles. They'll have an awesome match, and it's a good way to get a win on Braun Breaker.
Two Georgia Bulldogs going head to head in Las Vegas. Two Georgia boys.
They don't want none. But
They
also,
don't.
I need to mention real quick because you skipped past one of the highlights on Raw for me, where the War Raiders were backstage. They talked about how they gained a lot of respect for JD McDonough, but then Chad Gable comes in and he talks about them being pathetic for injuring JD Mc. I forget what he called him, like McDouche or whatever. He has like a funny nickname for JD McDonough.
Yeah, completely
Um,
butchered it or something.
but then he tells them that the Creed brothers are coming in. These guys are real studs. They're going to win the tag titles. They walk off, and Gable then goes, "Guys, I have to leave. I'm going to master the dark arts of Lucha Libre." Puts on his sunglasses, but he also mentions, "When I'm back, I want to see Ivy with the IC title, and I want to see the Creeds with the tag titles." Which I think sets up something interesting in the future. If they do win those championships and Chad Gable's not at their side, do they then realize that Chad Gable is not necessary for them to succeed? In fact, maybe they're better off with Chad Gable if that is the case.
Yeah.
But the other big question, who is Chad Gable going to visit to master the dark arts of Lucha Libre? And that's what I'm looking forward to, are these segments with Chad Gable.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is Dominic Mysterio, like that.
Well,
Maybe.
Dominic gave him the kind of the Iggy on who can give him the
Yeah.
secrets to the dark arts of Lucha Libre.
I hope we
So
get a
I don't
segment
think
like
it's Dom himself.
I hope we get a segment where it's like Chad Gable like walking into like a dark cave or something like that, and there's like somebody in like a robe.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. Yeah, I don't know. Conan?
It's weird. The speculation that I've heard isn't necessarily one I think they're going to go with, but it would be interesting, I guess, is Aleister Black
Mm-hmm.
because they mentioned dark arts, but I don't know how that pertains to Lucha
Lucha
Libre.
Libre.
And I also don't think you want Aleister Black in a comedy kind of gimmick as his
No.
return. So I'm kind of hoping it's not him and they have him do something else.
Sin Cara.
Sin Cara. Yeah, sure. Should be La Parka. I don't know. I don't know. They have a ton of fun options that they could throw in
He
there.
could hit the
So
multiverse, go over to AEW. They got plenty of luchadors over there.
could you imagine if Chad gave, oh my God, that would be insane. What if is there any good lucha libre or luchadors in TNA?
I don't know.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I was about to
And
say that would be a fun little
it's
crossover
the
thing.
wrong question. I don't know. I haven't
But
watched TNA.
yeah, so I don't know who they're gonna bring in, but I'm very much looking forward to these segments with Chad Gable mastering and looking to conquer the dark
Yeah,
arts of Lucha Libre.
but I do want to go back to one of the things you said about American Made and Ivy Nile winning gold without Chad Gable potentially. I don't love that because then I think it then does get the ball rolling on like a dissolution of American Made storyline. And I feel like it just is kind of getting started. I don't think it's time to blow that up already, especially because I think Chad Gable is good in this role. And I think by himself, he will do less and less. So I'm not sold on the idea of American Made and Ivy Nile winning gold just yet. I think there's other stars more importantly, and I think they have some more legs, more story to be told there.
Well, one, I mean, they started in July, so I don't know if about just getting started. But here's what I would say is I don't see them winning and then immediately being like, we're
Yeah,
turning our back on China. I see them as winning as the planting of the seed of they can do this without Chad Gable. Chad Gable will still be with them, but ultimately they'll slowly come to realize as they hold on to these titles. And maybe you could have them, Chad Gable cost them the titles that they won on their own, and
yeah,
that's what leads to the breakup maybe a year out from when they started.
gotcha. I cannot believe it's already been July. How long ago did they blow the Otis storyline? That's wild.
It was in June. It was Clash at the Castle when they had their big moment,
That's
and then
crazy
a
to me.
week later, the Wide Six debuted, and they kind of shut it down.
And now the Wyatt Sixes doesn't do anything either.
Right.
Damn, that's really depressing. All right. Well, so there's that. After this, we have a segment with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins in his cowboy inspired gear for some reason. I okay, real rant. I hate this gimmick. Can Seth Rollins please just go back to a standard just cool I hate the dress up, the architect, the freaking in his middle name. It bothers me so much every time they say it. Like, can we stop with the Macho Man cosplay or whatever the hell he's doing? Like, can we just go back to badass Seth Rollins? Do we really need this gimmick every week? Like, it just feels so unnecessary.
Yeah, I feel like I've been saying this now for like now it's like 3 years ever since he started doing this like dress up thing and going over the top and the song. It's all like one big package, and you can be over the top sometimes. So I've kind of just come to accept it. Like this is just who Seth Rollins is and his character.
Mm,
But I do like the fact that he's able to break out of it at certain points when he needs
yes.
to. Because there are as if you just did this whole thing 24/7 and had no sort of serious side to him, then this would just piss me off completely and I would be so not interested in Seth Rollins. But what is compelling about Seth Rollins at certain points is when he's able to kind of take off the glass, he takes off the mask and all the pomp and circumstance, and you see just normal Seth Rollins speaking from the heart. And I think what I've kind of just, I guess, the look on the bright side or kind of found the silver lining in this gimmick is that you could now see a clear divide between over the top, wacky Seth Rollins and when he's actually being serious. And it's like, oh shit, like he's not being over the top. I'm able to see
Mm,
how he actually feels in given instances.
right. Yeah. Uh, yeah, that is true, I guess, like the comparison, but it's just so annoying to me.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten it. I've never bought into it. It just feels ridiculous. You know what the worst part of it is? WWE is really hot right now, and there's a lot of cool things going on. There's a lot of good stories being told. There's a lot of great matches. It's really embarrassing when I have to like watch Raw with my dad, and then like the first thing he sees is Seth Rollins dressed like a cowboy, and I'm like, I swear to God, he's good, man. Like he's a good, you know what I mean? Like he's different. Now, granted, my dad knows Seth Rollins. He's been watching, but like it's just like cringy, and I don't know. I'm hoping he evolves soon. But either way, enough. I'll get off my soapbox now, and we'll talk about this segment. Seth Rollins has a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. Talks about how he's disappointed he didn't win the Royal Rumble, but he was happy that Roman didn't win and CM Punk didn't win. Also noted, Roman Reigns out indefinitely, aka is he going to be at the Elimination Chamber? It doesn't seem like that's what they're saying. So guess he's out. And if he's not at the Chamber, is he not in a main event title match? I don't know. But anyway, Seth Rollins basically saying that he's going to beat Finn Balor to qualify for the Chamber and then win the Chamber. And then he wants to talk to Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn has a qualifying match later that night against CM Punk. And he really wants Sami Zayn to beat CM Punk so he doesn't have to deal with CM Punk anymore. Uh, so his hatred for CM Punk is taking full center stage of his character right now. And seems like maybe that's the direction for both of them at WrestleMania, which was the WrestleMania match last year. There's a whole lot going on with this segment, and it kind of didn't make a ton of sense because like CM Punk comes out later, and it's like you could have just said that to CM Punk. I don't know. It was all kind of messy for me.
Yeah, I think the point of this segment was just to be like Seth Rollins doesn't necessarily want Sami Zayn. He doesn't really care if Sami Zayn wins or not. It's just about CM Punk losing. He cares
Right.
more about CM Punk, but he tries to use this disguise of like Sami Zayn. He's trying to hype him up, being like, you could beat CM Punk. I know you can, and you can get your, shot at going to WrestleMania by qualifying and getting in this chamber match. So I actually liked what Rollins was saying in the segment and how
Mm-hmm.
like what he was saying was also kind of like a double meaning in that yes, he wants Sami Zayn to win, but he's just kind of saying these things to hype up Sami. And ultimately, his main goal is just CM Punk not having an opportunity to main event WrestleMania.
Right.
Um, it's weird because you're right. He's focused on CM Punk, and it's clear the direction right now for Rollins is that he has this hatred for CM Punk. But with Roman Reigns being out and Seth Rollins being the one to take him out, I feel like the match at Mania is Roman and Seth. And I don't necessarily like, even though it seemed like they were building up this three-way storyline, I don't necessarily like the idea of them three just having a match.
Yeah.
And I'd rather just see either Rollins versus Reigns or Punk versus Reigns. I don't necessarily need to see Punk versus Rollins because we already got it on Raw.
Right.
And there was no like kind of fishy ending to it. It was CM Punk just won. There was no cheating. It was
Mhm.
a clean win. So we'll see where it goes. I do think in some way, shape, or form, it's going to be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in some capacity at Mania, but weeks can change. And if they continue to go this direction of Punk and Rollins really not liking each other, then that might just be what the match is.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I said this on the Rumble recap, but the triple threat doesn't do anything for me either. I don't know really what direction they're going with, other than it's very clear that CM Punk and Seth Rollins are going to be involved with each other in some way or another for the next couple of months. Roman Reigns' return will be interesting. Maybe returns at the Chamber, if not in the Chamber, to like cost Seth Rollins. I don't know, but this segment was weird, and yeah, I it just does. I'm a big fan of like logical storytelling, and this just feels so convoluted and like crazy. It's like I don't know I don't know what the direction they're going in. I don't know. I need to see more.
This is a long shot pitch. This is me like coming up with stuff on the fly, but does like Punk win the Chamber? He's gonna get his match at to headline WrestleMania. Rollins tries to take out Punk so he doesn't get to headline WrestleMania, and that's when Punk cashes in the favor, and it's bringing in Roman Reigns to stop Seth Rollins from trying to take him out from the WrestleMania main event. Seems like a lot of,
Hmm.
kind of like the, you know, Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where they're like they got strings and pins they're pointing at things. But that was just something I came up with off the top. I'd have to really flesh it out to make sense. But you're right, though. I don't really want to see a sort of muddied up three-way match. I
It's
mean,
like Roman's got beef with Seth. Seth has got beef with Roman and CM Punk. CM Punk really doesn't want anything to do with either of these guys. CM Punk's got his favor with Roman. CM Punk just wants to main event WrestleMania. That's all he cares about. Seth Rollins is kind of coming across as like the biggest heel out of the three of them right now. And I
mhm.
don't know if that's their plan, but that's certainly how it's coming across. But either way, this segment ends with a pull apart brawl between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. CM Punk then goes into his main event qualifying match against Sami Zayn. They have a good match. In the end, CM Punk go to sleep. 1, 2, 3. CM Punk, while seeing in Toronto, he's going to the chamber. And then, well, before we get to the end, any thoughts on CM Punk in the chamber?
I want to give thoughts on this match. One, Netflix, get your S
Yeah.
together. What the hell is going on? Like that was just
You couldn't
unacceptable.
watch it. It was unwatchable.
It
Even on
was
the
basically, yeah. It was a good match. Like I was enjoying the match, but I couldn't really get fully into it because of
yeah.
the glitches. And yeah, on the replay, they didn't fix it. It wasn't like a fixed version.
Mhm.
I did love the ending sequence though, with Punk like kind of taking Sami Zayn's head, pointing at the WrestleMania sign. He's like, "Listen up, ska boy." Like you'll never get to WrestleMania. That's for stuff like me. And oh man, it was just that part did tickle me, and it led to a great near fall because I had thought, even though it was clear, I thought Punk would be in the chamber. There was still a part of me that was like, Sami Zayn could sneak one out. And the only reason I say that is because diehard CM Punk fan, I know about the CM Punk Cleveland lore. Are you aware of the CM Punk Cleveland lore?
I'm not.
Okay. So it stems back 2014.
Oh God.
That is the place, Monday Night Raw, where he left WWE.
Wow.
And he left WWE. Then, fast forward, first fight in UFC in Cleveland. We all know how that goes. He gets beat up, loses in 2 minutes. Horrible night for CM Punk. Then you even go into his time in AEW, and he fights John Moxley in the unification match on Dynamite in Cleveland, gets squashed in 3 minutes. So he has a horrible time. And then
Wow.
it even connects to this last year, SummerSlam,
Yeah.
Cleveland loses to Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam in Cleveland. So he's had a horrible time in Cleveland. I thought they might keep this kind of thing going with CM Punk in Cleveland going on if he surprisingly loses to Sami Zayn. So that was just like a little kind of fun inkling. And when Sami Zayn had him in the small package, I thought that was it. I didn't even think he kicked out. I thought like Sami Zayn had won at that point, but you know, Punk kicks out. Uh, Zayn goes for a haluva kick. Punk catches him in GTS. Punk wins. And then what was interesting about well, let's get into the post match. But I do
Okay.
like Punk in the chamber, and I do think still Punk has a good shot at winning with my, what I feel like the WrestleMania card's going to be. But there's also a John Cena in the chamber. And when you have a
Yeah.
John Cena in the chamber, there's always a chance that John Cena is going to win.
Yes. A very large chance at that. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I was not familiar with the CM Punk Cleveland lore. That's very interesting. Um, Makes sense why Miles Garrett would want to get out there, I guess. Maybe it's just a cursed
Yeah.
city.
He might go from Cleveland to Chicago. Who knows? That would be
That's
kind of fun.
very likely. No, well, possible, I guess. So then, yeah, let's talk about the headline of the night. So after CM Punk beats Sami Zayn to qualify for the Elimination Chamber, he is immediately attacked, Sami Zayn, that is, by Kevin Owens. Of all people, I thought these people were best friends, Will. I was told they were best friends. They've won the tag titles together at WrestleMania in the main event. Does no one remember this? It happened not that long ago. But here we are on February 3rd, 2025. And Kevin Owens, sweet, sweet Kevin Owens, beats up his best buddy. And for what, Will? For what reason? All Sami Zayn did was come to his aid when he needed him the most. After he was Alabama slammed through a ladder and his head was bloody and swollen. Who was there for him? It was Sami Zayn. And now, just a mere 48 hours ish later, Kevin Owens comes out and beats him up, hits him with a package pile driver. And for what, Will? Why? Why would Kevin Owens do such a thing?
Well, first off, hats off to you. Are you going for an Emmy there? That was quite the performance you just
Thank
gave.
you.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense if you just look at what happened at the Rumble. Sami Zayn had all the time in the world to stop Cody from climbing up that ladder. Not that Kevin Owens was seemingly able to even
Yeah.
get it back on his feet to try to stop Cody at any point or even get himself to climb up the ladder. But I think we're going to see what happens with that coming into or in the next coming weeks. But I do think we're not going to see Sami Zayn for a little bit, at least not until Chamber. But I think he's going to be taken out with this pile driver, and they're really going to sell the fact that this pile driver hurt Sami Zayn. I was actually shocked to see Kevin Owens on the show
Yeah,
after what
same.
happened at the Royal
But he
Rumble.
was legitimately like screwed up.
Um, but I also did like the fact that with Kevin Owens shoving Sami Zayn, it was in a way where Punk gets hit by Sami Zayn, but doesn't see Kevin Owens from behind him. So I don't know if that will lead into anything on the side, but Kevin Owens coming out here. My prediction for all of this is Kevin Owens finds himself in the Elimination Chamber match in Toronto and
Interesting.
then gets screwed by a returning Sami Zayn. And that sets up the WrestleMania match with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, in which at that match, we will get the return of Randy Orton. And that will cost Kevin Owens the match against Sami Zayn.
I love it. I'll
Because I
pretend
feel
to be
like it's
some.
too rushed to get Randy Orton back into this picture and have him be the WrestleMania match. But maybe if he comes back on like a SmackDown, then
Mhm.
they do. The other alternative would be, I guess, Randy Kevin at Chamber and then you have Sami Zayn return, and then just do the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match at WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think Randy's got to play a part in this somehow. Also, I just like a side note, the fact that we haven't done Randy Cody in the year since Cody won the championship seems crazy to me, but maybe his injuries really did derail so much many more plans. I don't but like how do you not like Cody Randy is on the table. It the story writes itself. How it the fact that it hasn't happened yet is mind-boggling to me. Anyway,
I think they really want like people to clamor for it, and then they'll at some point they will get to it. Like I'm not worried about them having to get to Cody and Randy Orton anytime soon, just because I know that's a guarantee match that will happen, and it's a match that is compelling with or without a championship involved.
yes, but also Cody's the momentum is slowly dwindling down, don't you think?
Dude, not with the recent character stuff. I think we're just getting started into a new chapter of Cody
Okay.
Rhodes that will then
Okay.
reignite his momentum. I think
Okay.
if he was still doing the same happy-go-lucky baby face, I'm just happy to be your champion, then
Yeah.
I would agree. But I still want to see what we see in the coming weeks, where what is Cody's mindset like after holding the title for more than 300 days? Just like Punk said, it was around the 300-day mark when he started to lose friends and didn't like who he became. And his 300-day mark, Cody Rhodes, as champion, was at the Royal Rumble.
Hmm.
So I'm curious to see if there is kind of like a change in Cody as we get deeper into this title run.
Well, we'll have to see on what happens with Cody and Randy. But yes, Kevin Owens attacks Sami Zayn and Monday Night Raw. I have no. There have been other elimination qualifying matches announced other than Seth Rollins and Finn Balor.
Paul Mysterio.
Right, and Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio. Okay, so Kevin
So
Owens not even officially in a match yet.
no. So what I would here's it could go a few ways. It depends on how quickly you get Roman back.
Hmm.
Because if you get Roman back before Chamber, then I would expect him to be in the Chamber match. But if not, I think the other two people in the match are Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens.
Okay, so you got Cena,
Um,
Punk, Drew
Cena,
McIntyre.
Punk, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. That's my six.
Okay, all right. I see it. I could see the vision.
But if it's Roman, you could still have Owens in the match and then Roman in. But I could, if Roman comes back, I could also see Drew
I
being
don't. I don't
that.
think Roman's coming back. I think they said
Okay.
out indefinitely to make everyone understand that like you don't know when he's like I don't like I think if he was going to be in the chamber when he'd be in a qualifying match and they would have announced that like I don't think he's in the chamber,
Yeah.
which is surprising because again that leads me to believe he's not going to be fighting for a championship at WrestleMania. When's the last time? Has Roman's been obviously in a championship match for like at least 5 years, right? Because he's been
It
champion for
was,
4 of them.
yeah, he wasn't at the pandemic WrestleMania. So you have to go back to WrestleMania
36,
35 when he faced Drew McIntyre in MetLife.
right? That was the comeback from his cancer.
Yes.
It was like
So we
right
haven't
after.
seen the tribal chief in a non-title match at WrestleMania, which is
Correct.
pretty crazy to think about.
Yes. So 41 could be a WrestleMania for the history books. But any other final thoughts on this Monday Night Raw?
Um, I thought it was a good show to come off the Royal Rumble. It's tough to kind of keep the momentum going after such a hot show, but they did a great job in kind of getting right back on the train with the Elimination Chamber. And I do like that they've established now. It feels like it's established for the Elimination Chamber for the men's and the women's. You if you're in the chamber match, you win, you get the title shot that the Royal Rumble winner did not declare for. So if the
Yes.
Royal Rumble winner declares for the World Heavyweight, you go for the WWE title and vice versa. So
Yeah,
I
you get
do
the
like
second
that they've
pick.
established that, and I think it's a good thing to establish just as a consistent thing going forward. Instead of in years past when it's like you could have the championship defended in an
Right.
elimination chamber, or you could have, they've had US title chamber matches,
What a
IC
joke.
title, tag title, and those things are just kind of worthless as elimination chamber matches. This one feels like it's a big deal without having to tease like a championship change right before WrestleMania.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like sometimes having a chamber for a title though. There's more stakes to it.
It just has to call like the
The story
chamber
is to
match
call
would have
for
to
it.
call for it. Exactly. And it would have to be in a scenario where it seems like the champion could lose the title.
And
because
we're
in years
also
past they've done like WWE title, world heavyweight title chambers where it's clear the champion's not losing. Whereas
right.
it's more exciting and there's more unpredictability in having a ton of challengers who are good possible challengers for the champion at WrestleMania.
Yeah. This might be a topic for another day, but I'm just not a fan of PLEs in general with stipulate match stipulations as the theme because I don't like that it boxes them into like, oh, you have to do the elimination chamber in February to determine the number one contender. Like, because like then you could just use it anywhere. You could just use it like whenever the story calls for it. But that's neither here nor there.
I don't yeah, I don't necessarily mind. I dislike it more for stuff that really has no implications, like a
Mm,
Hell in a Cell where it
TLC,
should feel like it should call for it, a TLC, oh, even a War Games, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Like
War
War
Games is
Games
there.
starts to feel like we need it in special scenarios, not just because it's November.
Yes,
Whereas Elimination Chamber, I can kind of get behind because there's stakes involved. Same thing
right.
with Royal Rumble, same thing with Money in the Bank, same thing with
Mm,
now King and Queen of the Ring. Because yeah, it's like, okay, it's that time of the month. Now we have to do this. But at least you can get attached to something while they do these matches because you know there's consequences for and implications for the future of WWE when you
right,
tune into this PLE.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not going nowhere anywhere anytime soon. So, and listen, the Elimination Chamber is always a fun show, so I'm really not criticizing it too much. I just would prefer, we save it and we have all options on the table at any given time. So, alrighty, well, that's gonna do it for our Raw recap here. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back next week to talk about the following episode of Monday Night Raw and any other important news going on in the world of pro wrestling. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.
Peace.